2 or 3 weeks ago, I began making videos trying to warn of the security situation on the ground in Peru. Peru is the home of this group called the Shining Path, a very effective terrorist organization. They've been operating down there since the 80s. During that time, at the height of their power, they were every bit as effective and a danger as ISIS is today. I tried to talk about how the trip the president's making down there is a very, very bad idea. The current president, Vizcarra, who recently came to power, traces his lineage back to the region where they got their start. I did 3 videos, the 21st, the 22nd, the 23rd of March. Then, on the 3rd of April, I did one and put the title in Spanish, trying to warn again about the Shining Path and how it was a bad idea for our president to go there. Then yesterday, the same thing. Now, I'm not saying that it was me directly, but I just wanted to show those dates, 21st, 22nd, 23rd of March, and the 3rd of April. And I found this. The 568 members of the U.S. Armed Forces will provide security for President Donald Trump during the upcoming 8th Summit of the Americas. Peru's Congress approved a legislative resolution to allow the entry of over 500 U.S. troops to provide security for President Donald Trump during the 8th Summit of the Americas, scheduled for the 13th and 14th in Lima. The resolution was approved Wednesday. Now, here's the date to publish. 5 April. Wednesday would have been the 4th. I find the timing of this very strange. Trump's security will be composed of 114 members of the U.S. Army and 454 members of the U.S. Air Force, who will remain in the country for 18 days with military equipment, armament, and 2 helicopters. Now, I'm not saying that the president watches the Florida Maquis, but I do hope that somehow the things that I reported got to some people who got to some other people that maybe got to some people that maybe influenced this decision. Because the Shining Path has got a lot of contacts and a lot of depth, but I don't know if they could get over this hurdle. Especially now, they're not saying which 18 days. I would have to imagine there's going to be some lead teams on the ground ahead of arrival that are going to be shaking things up a little bit. But this should be enough. I mean, I pray it's enough. I mean, it seems like for one day that 114 soldiers and 454 airmen should be able to provide security. They should at least be able to keep anything flying on the ground and create at least 114 guys, half mile. I mean, there should be a half-mile zone around him that should be completely secure at all times. Now, of course, this is Telesur reporting this because they want to whine and cry and moan about, their sovereignty and all this stuff. But number one, Peru invited him, the president, to the Summit of the Americas. Did they not think there was going to be security when they did it? And their Congress approved it. So this isn't, something that was done, over the head of or behind the back of, any governmental organization that would have had oversight here. So, if he has to go, I guess this is probably the best decision that can be made. Now, what's also not widely being reported is after he goes to the Summit of the Americas, he's going to Colombia. And he's going to be visiting Bogota. Now, why this is necessary, I don't know. I'm sure there's some good reason, but we have covered it on this channel ELN, and AGC, and the FARC, and the Arabeños, and the Oficina, all sorts of different groups down there. What would make it a giant nightmare about being involved down there is all of the different factions, all of the different groups. It wouldn't be like you would just be facing one direction, trying to, defeat one enemy. It's a nightmare down there that the Colombian government has been dealing with for 50 years. And dealing with just means basically hanging on. And we've been sending them, in the most recent omnibus bill as well, $391 million a year. $213 million of which goes right to their military. So every 5 years we send them $1 billion. Just to their military alone. To keep this tamped down. Now, the reason I brought up this tab was just to confirm what I said. The American Embassy will maintain its strict security measures in wake of the threat, particularly so that President Trump will be, given that President Trump will be visiting Colombia in April, following his showing at the Summit of the Americas in Peru. That's why this is a terrible, terrible idea anyway. You want to go to Peru, 568 soldiers and airmen on the ground? Fantastic. Why to go to Colombia? I don't understand this. Now, found a neat site, infodefensa.com, and this will really give you a great insight into what's really going on in Central America and South America and the Russian and the Chinese influence. This top article here is about Venezuela and all of the different trading proposals that they have on the table right now with Russia, with armaments and planes and naval assets. This blurb here about how they're going to start to build Kalashnikov rifles in 2019. Now you have to ask yourself a question. If this was this third world zombie country with just people staggering around, starving, and unable to even feed themselves, and totally dependent on other countries for food, why would the Russians be planning to build a factory there to manufacture Russian rifles? What they're telling you about the situation down there isn't the truth. This is what I have tried to tell people about. Venezuela has problems, and the U.S. has been merciless in their attempt to destroy their economy. But they're not helpless. They absolutely are not helpless down there. They have Pechoras, they have thousands of sniper rifles, they have a well-trained military. One of the reasons that people are starving down there is that the military gets food first. The people that have signed up to serve and protect the people in power down there are very well fed, very well trained, and very well connected. The Russians have made inroads. The Indians have made inroads. The Chinese, of course, we've talked about. The Iranians all have an interest down there now, because we have been seen to be withdrawing from the region, no longer interested in fostering cooperation in the region. And this is, other than Colombia, this is the perception down there. And this is why this is one of the big reasons that I disagree with the current administrator and his attitude about Central America. Do we have enemies down there? Yes. Should we broad brush them all as the enemy? No. We should be trying to foster cooperation in the Caribbean with those militaries and reach out and show them that we are not this giant boogeyman that can't be trusted. Because if we do that, if we allow that to fester, we're going to need, every time U.S. politicians travel to the region, this is what it's going to have to look like. It's going to have to look like a damn military invasion every time because of this. So, I will leave it there. Apparently someone got the word. Let's hope the man stays safe and gets back here and we can continue to have a discussion like adults do. Like, share, subscribe.